This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, I talk with the cast of Downton Abbey, Seann William Scott, Tim Blake Nelson, and the cast of Lynley. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and I thank you, as always, for joining me on Pop Culture Weekly, the only show where you'll get hard-hitting pop culture journalism mixed with my inability to not be able to shut up. Today, this episode, we have got a stacked lineup, like legitimately. British crime drama, indie films, a comedy legend, and the final chapter of Downton Abbey. Basically, the only thing missing is a Kardashian cameo, and give it time, that'll happen too. All right, let's hit it. So, first up, Lynley, the brand new British crime drama that's bringing Inspector Lynley back to the screen. It's got murder, it's got intrigue, it's got brooding detectives who somehow manage to look like they're in a GQ photo shoot while chasing criminals. Leo Suter, who you probably know from things like Vikings Valhalla, plays Lynley. And Sophia Barclay, who's from Ted Lasso and A Book of Secrets, joins him as his sharp and brilliant partner. And together they're serving murder, mystery, and cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass. Here they are, Leo Suter and Sophia Barclay.
How are you guys?
I'm very well, thanks, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having us on.
Of course. So tell me, first of all, congrats on the show. I love how it's kind of a mix of, it's got this crime drama element, but it's also got this, them versus us sort of thing, their haves and have-nots. And then, it's also kind of funny in many ways. Is that something that drew you guys to the series?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I think one of the things that drew me was that this is a great tried and tested format, a good crime detective show with a cool detective in a sports car, which is fairly simple and straightforward. But I think it's true that as a model of a TV show, what people are after are good stories that keep you engaged. And there's something about these characters and these mysteries that are really compelling when I read the scripts for the first time, and was equally as good when we started performing them out on Ireland.
Together. Yeah. I was going to agree with exactly what you said, but I also totally agree with you, Kyle, about the humorous element. It's so barely there and felt, but I think when you put two such different characters together, like Lynley and Havers, immediately with Leo and I, it was such a joy to jump into that kind of huge opposing forces that have to be together to work together. And even if it's not an out and out comedy show, there is a lot of humor in it. So yes, I totally love that you picked up on that.
Yeah, and as you said, it is subtle, but I think I have more of like a traditionally English sense of humor, where I'm like dry and sarcastic. And when I was a kid, I used to watch reruns of Are You Being Served? Which none of my friends were watching that. But so I always just really enjoyed that type of humor. And so when I see it, no matter how subtle, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? I like hone in on it because I feel like you don't really get that in a lot of American, projects where it's there, but it's not front and center, and it kind of brings just a little bit of levity to, some grisly things,
Right. And it's so English culture as well. I think you'd be hard pressed to find any English person who doesn't have an element of self-deprecation or if they're a kind of brand of humor. So I think the two things, being very English, like Leo said, it is such an English like DNA show. Having that element of humor there is so great.
Did you feel, this character, these some of these stories are revered and loved, and there's a audience there that has followed these, followed them through time and through different formats. Was there any pressure there as you're, doing a new take on it? Did you feel any of that, or are you able to be like, this is our interpretation and this is how we're going to do it and this is it?
I would say there's a combination of both, and I think you have to be very respectful and grateful to Elizabeth George for writing these stories in the first place, and then the previous iteration of Lynley 20 years ago. And so they passed us on the baton, and we're very lucky to be able to be running the next bit in the relay. But I think, to your point, I was able to slightly sort of divorce myself from all that history, because the social world into which Lynley now lands in our series, 21st century Britain, looks very different. So the cloth from which Nat Parker's Lynley was cut is a very different one to that which my Lynley was cut by, to extend that metaphor. So I do think there's interesting differences, and I also think that really validates rebooting it and putting these two really compelling characters in a present day British environment.
I couldn't agree with you.
I'm sorry, Sophia.
No, I said I couldn't agree with him more. I think that was exactly it.
And I think it's also a testament to the characters, to the power of that storytelling, that it can be told in a different way 20 years later, and still be relevant and feel fresh and important, Yeah.
I think the Norfolk that the books are set in has changed massively, and you see that in our episodes. I mean, Sophia, you've got bits in, I think it's episode 3, talking about the sort of overcrowding in prisons, and the police force is creaking at the seams, and these are like very present topical issues in the UK at the moment, and are very different to the kind of bucolic Constable country scenery that we do also have, but it's more complex. This modern East Anglia has got drug gangs landing on beaches, grisly crimes in alleyways, as well as beautiful fields and pastures.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you, I kind of feel like in many ways we're in kind of a crime, not a crime renaissance, a crime drama renaissance. And, for me, Lynley stands out. Why do you feel it stands out? It's not a loaded question at all, right?
No, I think I'm reflecting upon what you said about us being in a crime renaissance. I'd never had that, and I was thinking that's really cool. And in a way, it's so cool to be a part of that. Like, oh wow, we're part of a crime renaissance. I was really just taking that in.
We're in the Renaissance.
Yeah, I know. How does it feel to be part of that? Well, first off the bat, my reaction would be super honored and excited. And I'm a big crime fan. I'm a huge Sherlock Watson head. And, obviously getting these through and seeing that Stephen was a writer on Sherlock and wrote these as well is such the fact that I even get to be a part of the thread of what you're calling the greater crime renaissance, and the fact that I'm a small part of that is just so cool. To the inner geek in me, I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. So that's how I feel. I'm very honored about that. And then in terms of why Lynley and why Lynley and Havers, I think it is because, like you said, there's, I guess, all these different crime shows have a different angle or a different in. And the texture of Lynley and Havers is a very specific in. Like, it's quite, I don't think you see that mix, that British oil and water in this way. And
I think it's specifically British as well. Working class, the working class, the aristocracy, earldom of it all.
Yeah. Like the British class system is something that's, I mean, it's sort of strange and maybe outdated, but it still lives in different ways. It's different from the books, and it is still existent now. And I think we've tried to explore our own version of that. But that in itself is such a unique thing in the world that's a cool thing to access the crime world through, I think.
But Kyle, I would actually challenge you. I'm not sure it's a renaissance. I think we've always loved crime. It's always kind of, it's a tried and tested, timeless format. That I think it's always been compelling and always will be. People love a mystery and that pleasure you get of figuring it out as the show runs, or the novel, or the play, what have you. So I think people have always loved crime dramas. And
my mom is the biggest crime as well. Like my mother knows every single murder she wrote. You could ask her about every crime and everything. She's like the biggest crime fan as well. So yeah, she would agree with you.
Yeah. Well, and now both of you are a part of that legacy. So I love that. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Sophia. I really appreciate it. I can't wait for everybody to watch Lynley so I can freaking talk about it. You know what I mean?
That's so nice.
Thank you.
Leo Suter and Sophia Barclay. Let me tell you, they are as charming off-screen as they are on-screen, which is great because otherwise I'd have to pretend like I didn't love the series, and I do, so spoiler alert. All right, next up, Tim Blake Nelson. If Hollywood had a Mount Rushmore for character actors, Tim Blake Nelson would be carved right into it, probably twice. You've seen him in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, Watchmen, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Basically, if you've ever watched a movie, Tim Blake Nelson has been in it, and his new project is Bang Bang, a gritty indie film about family, morality, boxing, and redemption, which coincidentally are the same themes I wrestle with every time I eat Taco Bell after midnight. Here he is, Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson. Seriously, I could listen to that man talk about paint drying and I'd still be glued to my seat, which is saying something because normally I am glued to my seat for other reasons. All right, we're going to take a quick break to pay the bills, and I'll see you back here in 60. All right, we're back. And now, Stifler himself, Seann William Scott, has been making us laugh for decades, literally. From American Pie to Role Models to Goon to The Righteous Gemstones. And now he's flipping the script in his new psychological thriller, Bad Man. It's dark, it's intense, it's funny, and no, there are no baked goods involved. I checked. Here he is, Seann William Scott.
All right. Seann, welcome. Thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Of course. So I want to talk about your new film, Bad Man, but I want to go back for a moment, if you will, and talk to you about your career. You know, you have played some of the most iconic characters in the last 25 years. Do people, do you, especially with Stifler, do people still call you that? Do you still get lines thrown at you?
Not as much, but sometimes, like, you know, what's interesting is that, I mean, yeah, of course, that's the character that, you know, that or the character from Goon.
I love
It's funny. Yeah, me too. I really love it. And I also love Stiflers, but I think, you know, if I'm out, like, I probably get more people now come up to me for Doug Ladd.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. There's like a whole new, like, young generation now. I don't know what age, but I feel like I want to say like 18, 19 years old that I think have just discovered American Pie. Because it was funny. I would be out for, you know, I think I was at a gym like 5 years ago, and there was like some 19, 20, 21-year-olds like didn't know me at all. And I'm like, this is so wild, because that character really represented that age group, at least for a period of time.
Yeah.
Now, though, it's funny. I think that the 18, 19-year-old like kids, for some reason, have like caught on to this probably for them like super old movie.
Right.
And and now they come up to me and like, "Are you Stifler?" I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Do you, if American Pie, was made today, where do you think Stifler would be?
Doing the same thing. I think it's I just can't imagine that guy changing at all. I think he's I've said it a few times, but I think he's that guy, and there's plenty of them out there that are like really struggling with like adjusting to the world today.
Yeah.
Like just like doesn't know what to say, what not to say, like or like I think it'd be very funny to watch him like an online dating and just fuck everything up, not knowing, just that guy that means so well, actually just like deep down wants to be loved, but just always getting it wrong.
Mm-hmm. I love that. If they ever did which I would love to see now that we're talking about it, if they ever did an American Pie, because I feel like, it went through a lot of life stages, would you be on board for one that's like kind of like, they have kids and, the kind of next chapter in life?
You know what? If the script was awesome, for sure. That character, I don't think there's a more fun character to play in comedies, at least for me.
Yes.
So, yeah, if it made sense and, if it was awesome, I don't think it'll ever happen.
Mhm.
But, hypothetical fun stuff like, be back with everybody again. And if the script was incredible and there was a chance to do something special, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, my ego's not so like big. I'm like, no, I've already done that. I'm like, oh yeah, I did 4 American Pie movies. What, am I not going to do a 5th one?
Right. I love that. You've played so many awesome characters. I love doing Mr. Woodcock. You're now on Shifting Gears. Dude, Where's My Car? I mean, there's been so many cool characters, and it's spanned, the Ice Age films. You've spanned a wide variety of different, genres and subgenres. Has that been... and even Badman for me, I believe is more darker. It's still action. I mean, still comedy and action, but it's a little, I feel, darker than some of the work you've done before. Has that all been intentional, or has it kind of just come organically?
I think, for the majority of my career, the things that I've done are like, I've never been at a place in my career where I'm like, let me just go through these 5 offers. Like, that's never happened, man. So it's like, usually the things that I've done, or was like the offer that I got around that time that was like the best scenario. And a lot of them were really great opportunities, but I've never been, in a position where I'm like, let me see, do I want to do this serious drama, or should I do this variation of the same character that I've done 10 times? Usually the things that were coming my way were variations of Stifler. And so I thought, okay, you can either like not work and just wait for a great drama, or just go and just try to make people laugh. So that was for the majority of my career. Now they're not making comedies really that much, especially like, bigger studio ones. So it's been kind of like recently, it's been, there's been movies like Wrath of Becky and Badman, a movie they called Bloodline, where, I think filmmakers that kind of grew up watching me do some stupid shit, but they were fans. They're like, hey, I want to see this guy do something different than what we're used to. And so I've had this kind of nice opportunity to do some different stuff. So kind of a mix of being intentional, but also just making the best of the best situation.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. And, is there anything that a fan would be surprised that you had turned down for one reason or another?
No. I was like, and then I've had pretty good instincts. So I would never turn down anything that was great.
Uh-huh.
No, it's so funny because it's funny because I remember thinking like, usually you can ask an actor that, right? And then they'll surprise you. I think like David Duchovny once told me, I could be wrong, but I thought he said that he had been offered the Keanu's character in The Matrix. That's what, and I think he was like, dang it. It's like, I'm not 100% sure, but no, I haven't been offered something awesome and been like, wish I had made a different decision on that one.
Hey, I mean, for me, as a fan of your work, I think your career thus far has been awesome and wide ranging, and I've loved the ride. So obviously you've done something right. You know what I mean? Done a lot right.
I'm really great. Well, I love what I've had a chance to do. Some of it's been, not stuff we'll talk about. I was hoping for a better outcome, but like, yeah, gosh, I feel like it won the lottery. Even with just American Pie, if it had been just that movie, dude, I would have felt like the luckiest kid. So
yeah. So for you, if you could give, young Seann advice when he was just starting out with American Pie as an actor, what would you say to him today?
That's such a great question. That's deep shit, man.
Sorry.
No. Gosh, what would I've said to him? Well, there was other things, maybe non-career, related, that I'd be like, don't do that. Don't do this. Like more life stuff.
Yeah.
You then be like, we all have those. If we could all go back to our younger selves and just say, we can be a little bit more strategic about the decisions we're making.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. You know what? It's a fun thing. If I was able to go back, I think, you know what? I'll tell you one good thing. I feel like I've always had perspective. I've always known how lucky I've been, and always had tons of gratitude. There were some moments early on that, like, I feel like I could have done things differently, where it wasn't that I was, like, for example, like, I maybe would improvise some stuff in a movie, and then, I'd watch the movie and it wouldn't make it in there, and I would be a little bit frustrated and communicate that. And I wish that I hadn't. I wish that I could go back and say, shut your mouth.
You're right.
Don't know what you're doing. Like, it's better to stay quiet. It's not your movie. So there's a couple of those moments that I'm like, I wish I could have punched myself in the face.
I think we all have them. When was the moment as an actor that you realized, like, shit, I made it,
I'd tell you right now, like, I was just talking about this too. So like a year and a half before American Pie, let me see, was it a year and a half? About a year and a half. I was working at Universal City Walk in Los Angeles, and there's a store called Scientific Revolution selling glow-in-the-dark stars. And I was wearing a fucking lab coat, and like, just like telling people to, purchase Bill Nye the Science Guy puzzles. And then a year and a half later, I'm at Universal City Walk for the American Pie premiere.
Wow.
We were getting out of a car, and these kids were coming up to me that they had seen an earlier screening of the movie and asking for my signature. Wow. And I was like, and then we're walking to the movie, and they had, I think, like 3 different screenings at the same time. And then it just, obviously, I remember sitting in the theater being like, well, no, on the way to the theater, I walked by this store that I was working at. And I think that was the moment I was like, this is a dream, I don't know. At that point, it was like, I don't know how you could not feel at that moment that, you haven't, not even just made it. It was just like, a dream come true.
Yeah. And it had to be surreal. I know for me, I've grown up probably much like you. Movies have always been a shelter for me, and TV and music and all. And now, I was thinking about this the other day. Now I'm interviewing people that I love or have grown up watching, or some combination, and I get paid for it somehow. It's like surreal to think about that. This is what I dreamed of as a kid, and now I'm doing, and it's got to be the same for you. Like when you're walking by that store that you were just working in a year before, and now you're on multiple movie screens at the, the movie theater right there. Like you had to be like, what? This is weird. This is like crazy.
No, it was. I was the whole thing. I remember it so well, and also because I was able to improvise so much in the movie, and as the other actors did too. But to sit in the theater and hear people go insane over something that you just came up with and had no real acting training. And it was only like a little over 3 years earlier, or 4 maybe at that point, that I was in Minnesota with my high school buddies, you know, playing baseball and football, and not for a second. I worked at a movie theater.
Right.
You know, if there's ever a story that's like anything's possible, it's this one, you know, like, by the way, I was going to ask you, when you interview, I was thinking the bummer part of maybe your experiences, if you're interviewing somebody that you liked and you're like, God, what an asshole. Like that must be so disappointing if you're like, I'm so excited about this, and you come away from it and you're like, I think my heart just broke.
Yeah. I've got to say, everybody, genuinely, there was one person who was a pop diva slash actor sometimes, that was, she was very nice, but it was interesting, and lots of demands and that sort of thing, which is cool. Like I want to make you comfortable and everything, but the reality she ended up being like 45 minutes late, and then her publicist came and was like, we only have time for one question. And I'm like, okay, what?
Wait, the whole thing was one question?
Yeah, which wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be like 12 minutes or whatever. And I'm like, but she was like so late that then and I'm like, what? Like, that's like, it's exactly, it's pointless at this point, you know? And that was very frustrating and kind of disappointing with the whole thing. But in general, everybody has been awesome. I've not there's nobody that I've met, or, you know, interviewed or whatever that I've been like, damn, I wish I didn't interview them. So I've been lucky so far. You know, I've been doing it for, I guess, 5 years now. Yes, I will say I've been very lucky, but that would break my heart if it happens, you know? Would really break my heart.
Yeah, I've never had that. I mean, I'm trying to think if like I've ever met, maybe one time I worked with somebody, or then later I saw them and then like had a kind of a disappointing experience. I walked away, I was like, I think I might cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it.
For Badman, you know, I love that it's this mix of action and comedy. What drew you to this role?
It was the script. I mean, it really, it's funny because this is a while ago, so I've been attached to this movie for a while. I think since like maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I just finished the second season of this single camera show called Welcome to Flatch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, comedy, and then also I get this script. I'm on a plane, and I read. I'm like, holy shit, this script is awesome. The character is like amazing, and like I said, like I'm reading things in there and thinking that like, oh, you know. Of course, as an actor, I'm like, wow, there's a lot in here that I haven't had a chance to do. And, you know, what a great showcase kind of role, but also the whole script was fun. And so, yeah, it was the entire thing. I mean, it really was just the script and the character and the story and, you know, all of it. And then when I got a chance to meet Mike, you know, I was like, oh, this guy's really exciting. He's so smart. And yeah, so this is the whole thing, really.
I love it. It's such a great watch, and I can't wait for everybody to watch it. Thank you, Seann, for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, same here. Appreciate it.
And you too. And please come back on for your next project.
Well, you know what? We'll set something up for the Tim Allen show.
Awesome.
I'll reach out to my guys.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Seann.
See you soon, dude.
It's all right.
Seann William Scott. Badman is out right now. Make sure you check it out. It is really great. And Seann, I promise next time I won't continuously talk to you about Stifler and American Pie. Probably. No promises. All right, my fellow lords and ladies, grab your tea, grab your scones, and grab your tissues, because Downton Abbey is back one last time for the grand finale. That was like a weird accent that like combined multiple accents at different point in the sentence, so we'll ignore that. But anyway, It's time for the show that gave us over a decade of aristocratic drama and Maggie Smith delivering savage one-liners. And now it is taking its final bow. So first up, I sat down with Joanne Froggatt, who's played Anna Bates since day one, and Alan Leach, our beloved Branson, who went from chauffeur to Crawley insider. Honestly, the man had the best career upgrade since Meghan Markle. Here they are, Joanne Froggatt and Alan Leach.
How you guys doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm doing well, thank you. Congratulations on the film. How are you guys feeling now at this point? This is the grand finale.
It's hitting home. You know, this is the end. We're coming to the end of the press tour now. And we always said, even when we finished filming, you know, just trying to delay the onslaught of heavy sobbing and emotion, that we've said, oh, no, I'll see you on the press tour. Of course, this isn't goodbye. And now it is, you know, and I'm certainly not emotionally prepared for it.
No, it's actually hitting me a bit today. I mean, when I first saw the film, I sobbed. I sobbed at the end. I didn't expect to be that emotional, but it was such a beautiful ending, and it's sort of happy tears of and such a love letter actually to the last 15 years and to the fans. But today it does feel like this is our last actual junket. Yeah. And yesterday was our last red carpet, our last premiere. And so it's starting to sink in. And I think the very last thing in a couple of days after that, when I get home, is going to be like, oh, wow, it's really over.
It's like a very public breakup after a 15-year relationship.
Yeah.
But a very nice breakup.
Sure. Oh, no, yeah. Like,
very respectful.
We'll definitely stay in touch. And I will co-parent with you. I'll co-parent you, Bonneville. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So Anna and Tom, they both started out, you know, kind of as outsiders in their own way. One downstairs and one, you know, brought in by marriage. How do you feel that their journeys from the beginning until the grand finale, do you feel that they've come full circle?
Yes, I do. I really do. I know it started out as a single young woman in service, and she was quite quickly promoted to lady's maid, and then she fell in love, and a myriad of things happened in between. And now she and Mr. Bates are sort of all grown up and have their family, and she's pregnant with their second child. And it really is, you know, sort of full circle moment. And I was pregnant during filming, which is why Anna is pregnant. So it was a wonderful way to finish Anna's story, sort of personally and professionally.
I love that. How about for you, Alan?
I would describe it a bit like, not right full circle, but a circle drawn by my 3-year-old daughter. So it's not quite perfect. It definitely takes some diversions, but it does get there in the end. And I kind of feel that about Tom. He's been on such an incredible journey. And I do feel that what Julian's done in this is bring him back and put a lovely full stop on his story. And he's certainly finally found his place, which is lovely.
I love that. I love it for both of you. I know, you know, people are going to be really happy with this. You have to be careful. I feel like, you know, for 15 years with such like kind of, you know, people feel so passionate about it. And I think that this does it perfectly. So congratulations to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Joanne Froggatt and Alan Leach. And of course, you can't close out Downton without Lord Grantham himself. So I chat with Hugh Bonneville, who's been the rock of this series as Robert Crowley, and Kevin Doyle, who plays the very loyal Molesley. These guys have been a part of the Downton DNA since day one, so I had to close out our Downton Abbey, the grand finale segment with them. Here they are, Hugh Bonneville and Kevin Doyle.
Thank you both for joining me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So first of all, congratulations on the film and the series. Your characters couldn't really be more different, yet they've each given us some poignant and hilarious moments, you know, throughout. How does the grand finale kind of honor those contrasts?
Well, I think we all have our moment in the sun, so to speak. Julian Fellowes has done a masterful job of bringing beloved characters to a point at which the audience is ready but not ready to say goodbye, or rather we are going to say goodbye whether they like it or not. But there are moments, as with all the episodes and films, I think one of the great hallmarks of the show is it can go from broad slapstick comedy in one moment to sort of pin drop emotion in the next, and this iteration is very true. There's some glorious comedic stuff that I think we both enjoyed playing, but shot through with a sense of looking back on the past as the baton is passed on to the next generation.
How about for you, Kevin?
Well, it's been a gift, and it's been lovely, and I've loved that mixture of comedy and drama, and Julian has been able to do that astonishingly for 15 years. So it's been lovely to have gone on that journey with all of these wonderful actors.
Did you, Hugh, Robert has always kind of been the anchor for the family, and Kevin Mosley has been one of the show's really kind of underdogs. Did you both feel that your characters got a fitting ending for, having played them for so long?
I certainly felt that Robert's ending was appropriate. It's a strange concept to be born to know from birth that your destiny is to do one job, and that is to conserve the furniture and the estate to the best of your ability for the next generation, and then to have to come to terms with handing that on, perhaps even before one's time, is a big step. And I enjoyed very much the way that Julian Fellowes wrote the internal tussle and the outbursts of inexplicable outbursts of perhaps anger and frustration, which you begin to understand quite quickly are really to do with having to come to terms with moving on. So it felt a very well-drawn end of an era for a character like Robert.
Yeah, and for Mosley, I think he deserved a happy ending, and he gets one. He's had a lot to go through in his life, and it's been ups and downs. And as I say, I think he deserved a suitably good ending, and with the love of a good woman as well.
I love that. Thank you both so much. Congratulations on all the success. And I know that the grand finale will be just as successful. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Have a great day. Hugh Bonneville and Kevin Doyle. I still can't believe they let me into Downton without making me wash dishes. Although, with my track record, I would have broken the good china in about 4 seconds. Downton Abbey, the grand finale, is out right now, so bring tissues, lots of them. Or at least don't make the mistake I did and watch it without tissues, because there's nothing like ugly crying in a theater while all your neighbors pretend not to notice. All right, that's a wrap for this episode of Pop Culture Weekly. Huge thanks to Leo Suter, Sophia Barclay, Tim Blake Nelson, Seann William Scott, Joanne Fraggett, Alan Leach, Hugh Bonneville, and Kevin Doyle. Basically, every cool person alive came on this show, and you came too, so thank you. I appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends that Pop Culture Weekly is where all the cool kids are at. Until next time, I'm Kyle McMahon, and yes, maybe I did actually shed a tear over Downton, but in a very dignified British way. All right. See you next week. I love you. We are.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
Downton, Downton Abbey, the place where we're upstairs or downstairs. You could be a servant, you could be rich, it doesn't matter 'cause everyone's a bitch.